All right, let's move on. We're going to have some fun with today's show because there are no games coming out. There really are no games coming out, Matt.
Yeah, kind of done for the year. Huh?
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out today. For whatever reason, we did not get that game early from Nintendo, so I'm going to have to go buy it today, just like you did before you...
I played like an hour of it before I came here.
Yeah. We'll talk about that extensively next week.
Music's good. That's all I can tell you.
He played an hour of it, and we didn't feel like that's enough to really talk about it. So we'll get to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 next week. Of course, by then, a lot of you guys will have played it. Reviews for that are pretty good. It's hovering around an 8, I think, on Metacritic, something like that. I mean, it was an 8.5 yesterday, and it's gone down since.
Like, there's some interesting praise for it. US Gamer was kind of over the moon about it.
They love RPGs, JRPGs.
Yeah, but they were kind of complaining, like, hey, I had all my Game of the Year stuff set up, and then this game came in and ruined everything, because now it's Game of the Year. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
I think they might be on an island on that one, but
yeah.
Whatever. That's their opinion. They do like RPGs. Like, they have a podcast dedicated just to RPGs, which no other publication
I like
has.
RPGs, but I just mostly they just annoy me now. So
yeah,
I'm also interested in that. Like, you know, I'm wondering how I'm going to react to this after, because the last big JRPG I think I really slogged through was Persona 5. And the more distance I get from Persona 5, the less I liked it.
Did you ever finish Persona 5?
I think I'm at the last boss, and I just never turned it on again.
The last leg of that game is hard.
It is.
Like, that last section of the last dungeon, I literally played it, I think, like 30 times before I finally got through it.
Oh, yeah? No, I didn't have a problem getting through it. It was like I had to be on my toes strategically.
So you did finish it?
I'm not finished with it. I'm at the save point before the boss.
Oh, got you. That game is random, though. It's like, what would happen is, like, an enemy would just one-hit me and just kill me. And I'd be like, load to save, start again.
I think I'm real over-leveled. I spent...
You always do that, though.
But I also spent a ton of time... Because what I did is there's a thing where, like, you go in the... What was it? The optional dungeon,
Oh, yeah, the catacombs or whatever the heck they're called.
The subway.
Where you play as the van.
It has a name, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember it either, yeah.
But, like, basically, if you stay on a level too long...
They send enemies after you.
They send death after you. The Reaper comes after you. And if you kill the Reaper... Because if you go on the day when it's, like, flu season, the Reaper can...
They're sick. All the enemies are sick.
And he'll die after a couple of rounds.
Oh, really?
If you can just hang on. And... I'm like, that's cool, that happened, and it goes to the XP screen, and everybody leveled up 15 levels.
Whoa!
And I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this over and over again. So I just ran around and did that. So I think I'm like max level with everybody.
Yeah.
So
I was not. I had just played through the game and got there. It was
or at least
hard,
I'm real high up. Like I'm 80 or 90 in the 90s.
The enemies in that last stretch of the last dungeon literally were one-hitting me.
I believe it.
Randomly. Like, I would whittle them down and have them almost defeated, and then just one attack, boom, just wiped out, reload the save. So, anyway.
So I'm interested to see if every JRPG now is kind of like a thing where it's like, am I just not into this anymore, or is it because I'm waiting for one to have the production value I expect from something? And so far, I know there's been people who have ragged on the voices and the writing in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but so far I think the dialogue editing is better than average because they don't have a lot of awkward pauses. There's not a lot of like.
The bar is pretty low there, by the way.
Right, but like it doesn't strike me like I haven't constantly felt like, oh, this was not originally in English.
Right.
Except for a couple places where like they use the standard kind of translation things where it's like, okay, I'm counting on you, that kind of thing. It's like no one says that to each other in English.
Right.
Like, that's just a translation of a Japanese phrase. It means like it's in your hands now. Kind
right.
Of thing. But like it sounds, and I like that they went with the kind of the British voice actors again, like the first Xenoblade, where like. It's not the same group of like the same 10 anime dub actors that are in everything, so it doesn't feel. I'm not just like, oh, there's Tara Strong or there's it feels a little more exotic that way, just because I don't know whoever all the voices are.
Right.
So I'm thumbs up so far, but it's like 1 hour of nothing but tutorials and like running through the first town.
Combat system seems insane in that game.
Yeah, they always are.
Insane.
They always are.
Yeah, I watched a video review of it yesterday, and I couldn't even follow like what they were talking about. Maybe it was just not well written or well explained, but after like the first like 30 seconds of them explaining the combat system, I was like, what?
Well, part of it, like a lot of it's intuitive to me because I played the other two, and like it feels like Xenoblade. It's like if you could someone could put this in your hands, and if you've played the other two, or at least even the first one, you'd know this was Xenoblade after like 5 minutes of messing around. But like. I'm peeking through a tiny little keyhole right now.
Yes, you are.
I haven't seen anything really.
80 to 100 hours long. So anyway, we're going to have some fun with today's show, and probably a little bit next week as well. We are wrapping up the year. It's been a crazy, long year with lots of ups and downs, but ultimately we've made it to the end of the year, so that's reason to celebrate. So we're going to have some fun over the next couple weeks with GameFace. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And we're going to do some fun topics like the one we're about to do right now, and this is called High-Low. So, Matt, did you actually look at the questions for this?
No.
Okay. I didn't want him to, because it's better if he just gets them fresh.
I looked at the one of the things from later, the fantasy stuff.
Okay. So this topic is called High-Low, and basically how it works is I give Matt a number based on something related to games, and then he tells me whether he thinks the final result is going to be higher or lower. Very simple. And we have 5 questions here for you, Matt. The first one, Xbox One X console sales in 2017, and the number is 1 million. Higher or lower?
As in, it has sold more.
How many
or
will
less?
it sell by the end of the year?
Oh.
Higher or lower than 1 million?
Lower.
Lower?
I think lower.
So
maybe,
you think
maybe close, but I think it'll be less than 1 million.
So you think that a lot of the PR that's come out about it, when pre-orders launched, and even since it launched, the numbers that we've got from Microsoft, you think a lot of that's kind of phooey?
No, I think they mean it. They just their expectations are where they are, and they're not telling us what they're. They might think 500,000 is a good number for their expectations on that system. I don't know. Like they're saying like, oh, it's sold great. Like, what's great? What does that mean?
Right.
Like, we don't know. If you're not going to tell anybody numbers, or like your original targets, like what is that? It doesn't tell us anything. Like you're just sort of kind of randomly putting out a PR note that says like, we're happy with our thing. It's like great. Like. That doesn't mean anything to me.
I agree with you, actually. I go under. And it's weird for me to answer these because I'm the one who set the numbers for these. But I tried to put the number in a place that makes it a difficult decision. And I think as well it'll come in under. And I think if Microsoft has sold anywhere near 1 million, or it was even approaching that, because look, we've got 4 weeks left before the end of the year. Mm-hmm. If it was even anywhere near that, I think it would have messaged how many it sold. And look, Microsoft has got out of that for the last year and a half, saying we sold X number of consoles. It always says now we have X number of Xbox Live subscribers instead. So it's not like I really counted on that, but I feel like if it was a smash hit and was doing especially well numbers-wise, that it would have come out and given us some hard figures on that. What do you think it's going to sell before the end of the year? Wild guess.
Probably my ceiling for it would be like 800,000.
I think if it hits 500K, it's done really well.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think it's going to get close to 1 million. And a lot of that will depend on how many Microsoft was able to manufacture and that type of thing. So
we may never know.
Because unless it does really well.
Right.
I think, again, if it does really well, we'll hear the numbers.
If it breaks 1 million, we'll hear about it.
We will.
If it doesn't, I think we'll just be, we're happy with the sales.
And that's it. That's all you'll get. There's another 30,000 people on Xbox Live.
Right.
And that's all we're going to get. So we both agreed on that one. Here's the next one. Sales of Super Mario Odyssey in 2017, just in the U.S., 3 million. Higher or lower?
I think higher.
Yeah?
If they make enough, I think higher.
You mean make enough consoles?
Make enough copies.
Really? Copies of the game?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem.
No?
No.
Okay.
I think the bigger question is the install base of Switch, and if there are enough consoles out there for people to buy first so that they can then buy the game, and...
I think there are. Well, they're already at the... Well, actually, how many have sold in America? Do we know that?
I don't even know. I think it's 4 million maybe, getting to 4 million the last time I saw the numbers.
I feel like the attach rate on this is going to be real high.
So the problem is you have these people getting the new console, but then do they get Mario and Zelda? Do they get Zelda and not get Mario?
Most of the people I know who are buying the system now are getting Mario.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Not that they were waiting for Mario, but when you present them with the choice, they pick Mario because they think Mario is going to be easier to play with their kids, or they recognize it easier, or some of them just don't like Zelda.
I just think Mario is way more accessible.
I think Mario is more popular.
Yeah.
Zelda is a big deal, but nothing touches Mario. I mean, even in Nintendo's other top tier franchises, Mario is on his own level.
Yeah.
So I think Mario will sell just fine. And we saw Zelda sold about 3 million after a couple of months, or a month or two. And Mario sold Zelda's first month in a week. So I think Mario Odyssey can hit 3 million if the product is there to be sold.
So you're saying higher?
I think higher.
Higher than 3 million before the end of the year?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I think I set the number on this like pretty well. It's hard for me to know unless I know what kind of hardware numbers are going into the retail channels. You telling me that you just saw Switch at Best Buy basically a week after Black Friday, that bodes pretty well. Mm-hmm. To me, that shows that Nintendo's doing a pretty good job.
I mean, it was like 7 of them, but they have
Still, they're there. You can just walk in and buy one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say it'll hit 3 million. I think it'll barely go over 3 million before the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Next up, Star Wars Battlefront 2 sales across all platforms by March of 2018. And the number is 10 million. Higher or lower?
Lower.
The first Battlefront sold 14 million.
Lower.
Lower than 10?
I think lower than 10.
So you think that all the controversy over the game is going to make it sell 30% less than the first game?
I think
despite it being arguably a much better game.
I think it's going to be, I don't think it's a much better game.
Than the first one?
No.
Really?
And B,
wow.
I think too many people are going to look at, like the casuals, they don't know about the controversy. It doesn't matter to them. I think too many people are going to look at that and think it's the same game they already own. It looks too much like the first one.
One of my very good friends, his wife texted me the other day and said, Sean was watching this. Sean wants the new Star Wars game. Which console should I buy for him to play the new Star Wars game? And I think he's a huge Star Wars fan. Like, he has Star Wars sneakers, and like, he's into it and has been into it. He's other than you, he's probably the biggest Star Wars fan that I know personally, and he's buying a console just for this game. And with the movie coming out, you get kind of that pin action off of the movie.
Somewhat.
You really think it'll sell that much less than the first?
I think
because, like you said, a lot of casuals don't even know anything about the controversy.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with the controversy. I'm not saying this is because of the controversy in any way, shape, or form. I don't think it matters. What I'm saying is, the first game was part of that Force Awakens sort of like
rebirth,
rebirth Führer thing.
Yeah.
F-U-R-O-R. Not the Force Awakens was Hitler.
Right.
And I think it was just part of that mania, and I don't know if that same kind of I think Last Jedi is going to do really good, but I don't know if it'll create that kind of cultural shockwave. And I think you're going to hit a point, and this happens with casual people, and I've talked to some people who love Battlefront and like the first one, and talked about the second one, and they're like, oh, it just looks too much like the thing I already have.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be. I think the fact that it's basically another Battlefront is going to be a problem when it comes to kind of cresting that top level hump. I mean, you're going to sell a ton of them, obviously, but I think a lot of people are just going to feel like they've got their Battlefront, and they can just play that instead of spending their $60 on the thing they already kind of own. Because the nuance between what the difference between those two things is I think kind of lost on some people like that are not as into like the nuance of games as we are. Like, you and I would have no problem understanding that, like, oh, Battlefront 2 is obviously not, it's not even close. Obviously, there's prequel stuff in this one. Oh, awesome,
There's a campaign.
There's a campaign. And so I don't know. I feel like it's not going to sell as well as the first one.
I think it's going to sell more than 10 million. So I'm going to say higher. But I do think it is not going to end up selling as well as the first Battlefront. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll probably get around 11, maybe 12 million, which will make it come in about 2 less. And I honestly do think that 2 million less will be because of the controversy. Because this controversy has spread outside of the gaming lexicon. It was on CNN. Mm-hmm. Like on CNN.com one day, I saw a story about the loot boxes in Star Wars Battlefront 2. So it has kind of went out of our purview in a certain way, and some people are kind of alerted to that. So, and of course, the hardcore gamers know all about it, and I could definitely see 2 million hardcore gamers deciding, no, I'm not buying it this time because I don't want to give them my money and tell them I'm okay with what they're doing with this game. So I do think it's going to sell worse than the first one, but I still think it's going to come in over that 10 million mark.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a lot of strong feelings one way or the other on that. I just feel like it's going to not... It might hit 10 million, but that's going to be a ceiling, I think.
Okay.
It's a good number to pick for that.
Here's the next one. The number of new VR HMDs released, and these are new, released in 2018. And the number is 5. Higher or lower?
Does this count stuff like little kind of those little weird portable things somebody might
Not
come out
like
with,
something you could buy at like Radio Shack or like legitimate, like mobile's okay. But I think that's sort of the bottom, the breaking point.
But like a full-fledged kind of platform.
Yeah, like a Gear VR is okay.
Okay. I think that's going to be higher.
You think?
I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I think enough. I feel like there's going to be because I think we're going to get new versions of the big 3.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be at least 3 more other companies that like have their own thing in development and have to put it out because it's too far gone.
Well, there's the Windows mixed reality stuff, and there was like 3 announced for that, but I think 2 of them have come out already.
I don't know.
I think Acer's maybe came out already.
I haven't been paying attention to that
Okay.
at all. But I think there'll be more than 5. I'm not saying they'll all be successful, or any of them will be, but like, yeah, I guess I think enough people have like, you're gonna see.
They already released a new version of PlayStation VR,
Yeah,
so we're
but
actually probably not getting a new version of that next
But I
year.
think you're gonna see the tail end of kind of people that were trying to jump on last year's hype wagon, finally having to put their product out hell or high water.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see more than 5.
It's a tough question because there have been reports coming in the last few days that VR has actually done pretty well over the holidays. On Black Friday and Cyber Monday, the sales.
Yeah, I think the prices got down finally to a point where people were willing to take a chance.
So it makes you think that companies might be more willing to jump into the space. But on the flip side, VR's done so bad. It's hard for me. If I was running Samsung or some major electronics corporation, I would absolutely not launch a VR HMD. I would not. Maybe I would wait 5 years when the tech's there and you can get the price down and the quality per dollar spent is kind of where it needs to be. But I look at all these HMDs that have been announced this year, and I just am like, what are you thinking? Why would you put out a headset?
I think the reason is because, this is kind of conventional business wisdom, and who knows if it applies, but like I think the idea is that when VR catches, it's going to catch hard and fast and with one particular platform, and if you are not that platform, you're in the dust.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to, no one wants to stand back because everybody wants to roll the dice to be that platform that catches fire.
Right.
So, but the question becomes like, is that catch going to be in the next year or the next 3 years or the next 5 years? You don't know. And like, but I think if your company's invested in this technology, you have to take that risk. So I get why they're doing it, but like I agree with you that it's probably not the time.
Yeah.
I'm
going to go low. I'm going to go under on this one. So
you're thinking there's going to be stuff like hardware canceled, basically.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, I think 2 of the Windows mixed media headsets already came out, which means there's 1 left. And I agree with you that we'll probably get a new revision, at least of the Vive next year, because it really needs a revision.
I think the wireless Vive will finally show up.
But I feel like with Oculus and PlayStation VR just released a new model, which wasn't a huge upgrade, but it did kind of fix some nagging issues that people have with the launch units.
If you're using it on the Pro and a 4K TV, you finally don't have to unplug things to use various features. It's kind of how it should have been to begin with.
Yeah.
And it's sort of shitty that it doesn't work with the old cable, so you can't just buy the box.
Yeah,
but
it does. Not surprised.
No, I mean, early adoption gets you screwed. We know this. We're aware.
So we got that already. We got a revision of PlayStation VR. Oculus, and look, I already said Vive. I think for sure we'll get a revision of that next year. So that's one. But with Oculus, I feel like Oculus produced so many rifts because of the financial backing it had and the push that Facebook put behind it and how it wants to turn it into this kind of Facebook thing, and it has all these other applications for it. I feel like it built too many units, and it has a warehouse somewhere with a ton of them in there. And I think until it starts to get rid of some of that inventory, this holiday season's helping, obviously, with the numbers that have come out. I think until it gets rid of a lot of that inventory, it's not going to think about revising it. Plus,
well, they are still doing that, like the more self-contained thing, right?
Right. Yeah, the wireless one. Yeah.
I mean, that counts.
It does. It absolutely does. But that's one. So we have that. We have the Vive. We have one mixed
When Windows mixed.
Right.
And I think there's
and
at
there'll
least...
probably be a new Gear VR.
Yeah, and I think you're going to get at least 2 more random companies off to the side and be like, hey, here's our thing. And then everybody notices.
You may be right. I'm still going to say under, because I don't think Oculus has also done a good job of updating its platform. We got the touch controllers now that work really great. It's actually a fully matured VR platform, whereas I feel like Vive, probably still the better platform, really, but it's much more finicky, and you have to be kind of more of a techie guy to kind of get it to work right, and just to set it up, it's a lot more complicated. So
there's more drilling.
Yeah. And so I think that we'll probably not get a new Oculus next year unless it starts selling like gangbusters.
I think we'll see them announce it. I don't think it'll come out next year.
So again, I think that number was pretty good. 5, I think, is going to be either 6 or 4.
We'll see where they go. I mean, the Oculus thing, I could see go either way. Because on one hand, but on the other, like Facebook sees, this is to them, this is what Facebook is in 10 years. Like, this is their business's future in 10 years, and they want to be on that cutting. They want to be the VR headset you buy and continue to use and then talk to your family in virtual reality 10 years from now. That'll be how it works. And like the idea is that you would never consider buying a VR headset that wasn't Facebook branded, kind of thing. That's where they're going. So I think, again, because of the obscene amount of money Facebook has, I could see them having no problem. Be like, okay, burn the Oculus, the first gen Oculus units we haven't sold. Like,
really? I mean, look, Facebook has the money to just literally liquidate or just sell them for like $50 or whatever.
Because what we're talking about, what I think we're talking about here in terms of from Facebook's perspective, we're talking about their survival.
Yeah, that's what the social network is going to be.
This is what they see that as being, and they are desperately, I think internally at least, they have to be a little bit afraid that someone else is going to do that first. Because remember, Facebook can never forget that they supplanted MySpace.
Yeah.
And whoever comes along with the new, better way to do the social networking thing,
a lot have tried,
will win.
A lot have tried.
But there was a time when the idea of everybody migrating from MySpace was crazy.
Yeah.
And it happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Facebook is smart enough to remember they got to stay on that edge. And I think the Rift is sort of the idea that is going to keep, in their opinion,
big commitment.
In their opinion, that's what's going to keep them there.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they're right. But I can see them being very aggressive in putting out new and improved models of things as we move forward.
I think that would be a huge mistake on Facebook's part, though, because...
I think you're right, but I'm just saying, from Facebook's perspective, they may not see it that
You're asking someone to spend $300 to use Facebook. That is not going to happen. They will absolutely go find another social network to use.
Yeah.
People don't want to pay for anything on the internet.
Well, that's the thing, is it might be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. All right, here's the last one, and this is just kind of for fun, honestly. The number of Star Wars games released by EA next year. And the number is 1. Higher or lower?
Oh, that's lower.
None.
None. Of course.
None.
0.
Yeah.
Unless they somehow publish a mobile game.
Yeah, because, they can't have Battlefront ready.
No.
They
got nothing.
So you think none? You don't think that they have, maybe some little project that they're working on with the IP that...
I don't know. They could put out like a VR expansion for Battlefront 2, like they did with the Rogue One thing. But I don't think they care about that. That would only be if Lucasfilm throws promotional money at them.
Right.
I don't think they have any, unless Respawn's Star Wars game is way further along than we think it is.
Which it could be, because Respawn is really freaking good.
Respawn does get things done.
And it gets it done, and it gets it done very well and very quickly.
They might get the Respawn game out next year, but my feeling is nothing.
I agree with you on that one. I think there's nothing. Think about that. They have.
Year's the halfway point. Next fall is the halfway point of their 10-year deal.
It has probably the most lucrative sort of culture-based IP in the industry, and it will have no game for that IP.
And it will have put out 2 games, both the same series, in 5 years.
Yeah.
In half a decade.
Yep.
During, by the way, the biggest fever pitch of Star Wars mania since probably the original films.
Yeah, easily.
I feel like there is just tons of money being left on the table here by them.
There's going to be a lot of DLC for Battlefront 2.
I'll tell you this, unless something happens, unless there's a major turnaround in how EA is handling this license in the next 5 years, I cannot see the license staying with them when that deal is up.
Did you watch the Pactor Factor where Pac talks about it?
No.
about how all EA really, or all Disney really cares about is making sure the games are good and not how many are put out, because it just wants to protect the IP to make sure that people care about the movies. You've mentioned this before, that it's really ultimately just about how many movie tickets they sell.
Right.
That they don't really care how well the game sells. Any money that they make from their partnership with EA is just gravy. They really just want to keep it in the game space and make sure the games are really good, or at least look good.
Yeah. Well, then that's like how the microtransaction thing came up. Was originally, I guess, the loot boxes were like customization things and colors and stuff, and they were like, no, you can't have a pink Vader.
Right.
And because
that's the other thing
nobody
Pat talks about.
Nobody wants to see Vader. It's like everybody wants a pink Vader.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? But like
Disney doesn't want to see
that
the pink
completely tracks with my experiences with Lucasfilm on that. Is like you're not allowed to mess with the characters in any way, shape, or form. Like, you can't display. I mean, like, we did some stuff on a show I did for them. Like, we had to worry about what was in the background all the time, and there was like a shot with like a Wookiee standee that had to be cut because it was basically like you couldn't see a character without some kind of specific. You had to present them a certain way, and just having a standee back there, I think it was because it had like a coat on it or something, and like they're like, no, that's not how the character can be presented. I mean, that's how Lucas branding has always worked to some degree.
Pactor also
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And Pactor also talks about how a lot of times with companies like Disney, once you get into the groove of the company like EA, you don't want to end that relationship and start again with another publisher, because you've created these lines of communications between Disney and EA. So okaying assets, which is a huge part. It's like you said, like, they have to make sure every piece of armor is exactly right. All the character models are exactly right. All the ships, the planet, everything. And once you've created those channels and they're working well enough that you can actually develop a game in a decent amount of time, it's hard to trash that deal and go back. He brings up that's why companies continue to work with THQ back in the day.
Right.
Because they had already created those lines of communication.
I mean, it just depends how they were like, because again, people always do the Disney thing, but Lucasfilm controls Star Wars 100%.
Yeah.
Like, Disney cannot dictate that. The reason Disney stepped in on this, because of the CNN coverage and stuff, is because they are the distributor of the films. So the films, like, the only thing they control about the Star Wars films is when they come out.
Yeah.
But because they're the distributor, they have a large financial stake in how those movies do at the box office, and so that makes sense that Bob Iger would step in and call EA and be like, hey, fix this, because this is coming up. But Lucasfilm basically that's part of the deal. Like, they paid, everyone goes, oh, $4 billion is so much. $4 billion is not a lot of money for Star Wars.
No, it's not. It's really not.
Force Awakens made that back for them basically through merchandising and box office all by itself.
Well, it's like when Activision bought King for all that money, and people were like, are you insane? But then you listen to Pactor actually break it down, and you're like, it's a steal.
Yeah, it's easy. No question. And so, like, for this, it's like, part of the deal was Lucasfilm keeps control over its brand. And so the question becomes, is Lucasfilm going to be angry enough or upset enough or feel that EA doesn't handle the brand well enough that they will make that sacrifice to move it somewhere else? I feel like that is unlikely in that regard. Like, if you're going to deal with, like, if you're going to go down like the Pactor route and be like, oh, pipeline and business relationship and I could see that sticking with it, just because in the end, the two games EA has put out for Star Wars look amazing.
And that was his point.
Yeah.
His ultimate point
look like
was
Star Wars.
They look so good. And for a lot of people who work at Disney, they're not going to care about all the granular stuff. They're like, wow, that looks like frickin' Star Wars, and I can actually play it. And for a lot of people who don't work in the games industry, that's good enough. And then if sales are doing okay and a lot of their fans aren't calling saying, hey, there's a pink Vader in this or whatever, then they're going to be okay with it. The last few episodes of Pactor Factor, by the way, have been amazing. If any of you have fallen off watching Pactor Factor, you should watch the last couple episodes. He is killing it. He's also like hooking you guys up with like stock advice that could make you very wealthy. So if you've fallen off watching the show, you should go back and watch it. He's been tearing it up.